Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canned Air, your tribute to pop culture. I am Jeremy Colley.
And I'm Randy Hardenbrook.
And returning to the show today are some of the first guests we ever had on the show, all the way back in 2014. And even before we had them on the show, we were reviewing their work. I think we reviewed Earth Dream and Super Corporate Heroes, if I remember correctly, which were great books. And then they came on for our 100th episode, which was in 2015, I believe. Our 100.
I can't believe how many you have.
You and me both. I'm wondering if I should check myself in somewhere. But I think your guys' last appearance was in 2016 with the Guan anthology. But they're returning today to talk about the return of Ghost Metal, which is a webcomic they have online and just started their 22nd series called NECROCON, which is very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Good. Yes, from 7robots.com, we welcome back Miguel Guerra and Suzy Dias. Guys, welcome back. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
8 years, guys. Can you believe that? You were still...
As you were saying that, I was blown away.
Yeah, you guys were still stateside, I believe, last time we talked, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Lot to talk about with as far as that's concerned. Can't wait to talk about it. But before we do, we're going to be going through and looking at some of our favorites, or at least maybe not favorite, fictional political leaders from throughout pop culture, which was inspired by issue 1 of NECROCON on the Ghost Metal website, which was awesome. I'll put links to in the description. But before we do anything, got to remind everyone to follow us on our socials listed above here, and check out our website listed right here. We'll go into more about that at the end of the episode. But let's just get right to it. Talking about, again, our favorite fictional political leaders. Randy, why don't you kick us off and show us how it's done, sir?
So my first pick, I'm going to go with President James Marshall from the movie Air Force One, who was played by Harrison Ford.
Okay.
You know, it always cracks me up when there's presidents in like badass action roles, because thinking back to the history of the U.S. and all the presidents we've had, there's a handful that could probably pull it off, and the others would probably be either breaking a hip or getting winded like half within the first 5 minutes. It's kind of funny seeing the actual president in an action role.
Yeah, I need to rewatch those films because I haven't seen them in so long. There was Air Force One, and then what? Clear and Present in Danger? Was that like the sequel to Air Force One?
I think so. I don't even remember seeing that second one. I just remember Harrison Ford running around on the airplane.
And there were no snakes on
Exactly.
The back of the box when you go to the rental store just says Harrison Ford running around an airplane. It's like, I'll give it a shot. Sure.
Sounds interesting.
I don't know. When I think of Harrison Ford in the 90s, it's just The Fugitive. It's just The Fugitive for me. It's such a good movie.
Excellent.
Great movie. Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to remake that one in the
don't throw that out in the universe.
Yeah.
Please don't.
It's going to happen now. You're making it happen.
Yeah.
Putting some bad juju on pop culture here.
You are.
Yes, you are.
I'll shut my mouth and just let you guys go then. All right.
You're all powerful. You're all powerful. You make things happen.
That's what Canned Air's become in the past 8 years that you guys have been missing. See what you've missed out on? It's been quite a roller coaster. More like the Donkey Kong Country roller coaster, though. It's like a rail cart where you're jumping over big holes in the tracks. That's kind of what it's been like.
As long as you don't hit with the hammer, right?
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, let's move over to Suzy. What about your What about your favorite fictional political leader?
If only they were all fictional, that would be great.
Right? Tell me about it.
That's why we like roasting them in our comic. But I think my all-time favorite was, I'm blanking on his name, but Dr. Strangelove. Peter Sellers played the president. I think it was President Muffley or something. And that's like one of my all-time favorite movies, and he was excellent in it. It's so funny. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. Dr. Strangelove. And it makes fun of the lunacy of nuclear war.
Yeah,
and
really.
All of the characters are insane. Oh, it's so good. It's a Stanley Kubrick movie. Is it his only comedy? I don't know. It might be.
I think so. Yeah, it was.
It's
my favorite
excellent.
movie.
That was that 60s or 70s that was released?
60s.
60s. Okay.
Okay. That's what I
The
was
black
about to
and white
ask.
throws me.
It was it's true. I think they did choose, but it's an excellent movie. It's really funny. It still holds true for today. You never know what could happen, and some crazy in the movie, like a general or something, he goes nuts and he wants to start World War III, and they're trying to stop him. And this scenario, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well,
Unfortunately, it could still happen. Who knows?
Yeah, the day is young. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. There's still time.
and the good thing about that movie, though, they didn't have actual safety measures before the movie, but after the movie, they put all sorts of safety measures into the military to ensure that something like that couldn't happen. Because they were like, "Oh yeah, that's right. This could happen. A base commander could just go a little Looney Tunes and
Yeah.
There's lots of Stanley Kubrick's always an interesting fellow, and they apparently the cockpit for the planes, he has different storylines, and one of them is pilots in a bomber, and they're trying to recall all the bombers because it's a false alarm. They pretended like the Russians were attacking, and they weren't.
Yeah.
And apparently the cockpit, which he and his designers kind of built what they thought it would look like based on popular mechanics and magazines and things. And it was so accurate, he actually got in trouble with the military and had to answer a whole bunch of questions and was interrogated because they thought he got his hands on some top secret information. There are lots of interesting things in that movie.
oh yeah, it's great.
Wow.
And if you ever want to hear one of the first, I guess you could say, talking about fluoride, that's your movie. That's your movie. Way before Alex Jones talks about the fluoride.
That's a good point. The fluoride
Wow.
to get us. It's really good movie. Please, I mean, I encourage everyone to go see it. I did have a close second, but that was too far up. So if you need a backup, I have a second one that I liked.
Well, we might end up going around again, so hold on to that one. But that's incredible because I've heard the title of this film before, but never in a million years could have I guessed that this fictional film inspired real life precautions within the military. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And it's called Dr. Strangelove, How I Learned to Love the Bomb. That's the whole.
They also touch on Project Paperclip. And I don't know if you know about Project Paperclip, but they sort of touch on it. It's hilarious. If you've never heard of Project Paperclip, look it up.
It's where after World War II, the U.S. secretly brought in a lot of the Nazi scientists, and they ended up starting NASA and a lot of the stuff they were doing with rockets and with advanced technology, most of which to do with space, but also in the military. Yeah. So it was all secret, instead of prosecuting them, they brought them over. And so it touches on there they had their own crazy scientist.
I love that movie.
It's just on a lot of things. It's really good and it's funny. So
it's very much on par with a like a Spaceballs or a Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never guessed.
Yeah. It's not a slapstick, but the characters do get kind of zany.
Yeah, they do.
But not like Spaceballs, just wall to wall funny like that.
Yeah.
That's like Airplane. It just slaps you with the jokes every 3 seconds.
Blazing Saddles is great too.
Yes.
Oh my God, Blazing Saddles. Talk about a moment in time that'll never happen again, right?
Yeah, never.
Only if Chappelle could do it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Only if Chappelle could pull it off.
I would see that. That would be a remake I would watch.
I agree with both of you. It shouldn't probably be done, but
no, it shouldn't.
If it were, he's absolutely right. I think Chappelle could make it work.
Yeah, I agree. And I would see it, even though I'd complain.
Yeah. You'd just be sitting in the theater with
he shouldn't be remaking this. Damn, he's good.
Yeah.
I don't want to like it, but I like it. Damn it.
Damn it, I like it.
Sitting in the theater with a shirt on that just says, I'm here because I have to be. Oh, I would totally go see it. And have you guys heard, though, Spaceballs 2 is actually in the works?
No way. I did not know that.
Is it Mel Brooks?
It's Mel Brooks and Josh. I can never remember his last name. He was I can never remember what he was in either. Give me one hot second. I will look it up because you'll
I don't
probably...
remember who he is or what he's done.
So it's Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money?
It better be. It better be.
Josh Gad. You know who Josh Gad is?
Gaston, right? Or no?
Yeah, he was Gaston in the live action Beauty and the Beast. Or no, he wasn't Gaston. He was Gaston's little spineless helper.
Or something like that.
Oh.
I don't know.
You would totally know him if you saw him.
Probably.
Sorry to harp on this. But can you see that at all?
Yes.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Oh, okay.
They're like, move the hell on. We get it.
No, but I love Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of my son's movies. He's not too into movies, our son, but that one he loved immediately. So then I'm like, oh, maybe you'll like Airplane. Yes, he does. Okay, he's got like great sense of humor. So
Graduate to the Naked Gun movies.
I think we did see the first one with him.
Yeah,
there's so many, but
he likes the slapstick parody stuff.
Oh yeah. Remember what was the one with Charlie Sheen? Hot Shots.
Hot Shots.
Those were good films. I haven't seen those in a long time. But,
they're fun.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. We went on a tangent there. Over to Miguel.
Mine. The president from Escape from LA.
Oh, wow.
I like that guy, not because I like him. I just think that I think Carpenter was onto something way back then. I think he kind of saw how the evangelical movement was really getting into politics. And man, it's wild to sort of watch that movie now going, wait a second, is this guy really running for president now? Because this could totally happen. Right? Back in the 90s, you're like, never.
He do well now. I agree.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? It's like the movie Dr. Strangelove you were just talking about, and this example. Like back in the day, like when these movies come out, you're kind of like, oh, how funny that would be, or how horrible. And now you're like, oh shit, that could happen. Like we're not moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the, I guess you could say the gallows humor of it all, right? You're kind of like...
But a lot of good sci-fi satire, a lot of these good stories, they're plausible.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes it is the path that, life goes down. But when they write it, it's a possibility. And sometimes, like, if you read, like, so many people reference Orwellian and 1984. And it's kind of that idea. Although when he wrote it, they probably thought it could happen as well. But then things relax, and then you start thinking, oh, 1984. So good writing is like that, where they just touch on something that's going on, and it does end up developing.
Yeah.
To your point, Jeremy, it's like the line in Back to the Future Part 2 where he's talking about like Ronald Reagan being president, and Doc's like, the actor, never.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, there's some audio tapes. Well, there's a lot of audio tapes of Richard Nixon. And there's a series of recordings where he's talking about Ronald Reagan saying, nah, he could never be president.
Seriously?
Yeah. Some of the stuff that he said is so, like, one, outrageously racist, and in other cases, just so outrageous and kind of hilarious, actually, when you actually listen to some of the recordings. Yeah.
I would like to hear some of that. Where is that at? On YouTube or something? Or?
I'm sure.
I'm sure you can find I think they have a whole... the richardnixonrecordings.org or something crazy.
Wow, there's a lot there.
There's a whole list of these.
Recorded everything, whether it was himself, other people. He was really paranoid. So, I think it was top secret for a while, but then they, what is it called? Put it in the
declassified it or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Declassified it.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Henry. And then he just goes off, and it's you never really hear Henry Kissinger say anything, so it's kind of interesting. It's like
he's the one holding the recorder, being like, "Yeah, go on."
Yeah, it's like Ed McMahon and Johnny Carson, sort of like some sort of bizarre world.
I think the worst job in the world would have been being his secretary.
Oh God!
Like imagine sitting outside of his, typing away, answering his phone, and hearing all this crazy stuff going on in the background.
Oh,
like, and you go home and you can't say anything, right? And you're like, oh my God, the president's crazy. Yeah. I just want to retire.
I don't know why he became an alcoholic so fast. I have no idea.
A tale as old as time, though. Jesus.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I always think of the people around these crazy people. You know, the chauffeurs, the receptionists, the I don't know, whatever, the server at the restaurant. Like, what do they think of these people?
And that's sort of the beauty of Dr. Strangelove.
Well, it's got to be like a solid line, like right down the middle of this group of people, right? There's the half that are just like so mindlessly on board with whatever is being said. Then there's the other half that are kind of like the receptionists you were talking about that just are like, how do I keep on doing this job and keep my mouth shut, you know? I can't imagine.
Yeah, probably the mortgage payments.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll make you shut up real quick, won't it?
Yep.
And maybe the thought of maybe one day you write your memoirs.
Yeah, you make a good point. Because a lot of these people, like even if you take President Kennedy and the assassination, a lot of people will disclose things just before they die.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like, yeah, I saw it, or yes, this happened, or they release a memoir. And it's always, they're so old, you can barely interview them. It's a good point.
And what are they going to threaten them with? Death?
That's why.
And too old to barely in prison. Like, what are you going to do? You know, like put a 99-year-old man in a jail cell?
Hey.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure someone's thought of that.
Yeah.
Should we put him in jail?
I'm sure it's been done, but...
They're all gone, though, probably.
Yeah.
When you get that old, they're all your enemies are probably gone, so you're safe to release a memoir. I'm safe.
Yeah, just so they can die a little bit easier, knowing that they got it off their chest or something.
Perhaps.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so my pick is going to be from Independence Day, President Whitmore, played by Bill Pullman. Which, you know, we're talking about movies that kind of seem out there. And then nowadays with the Pentagon releasing all these photos of UFOs and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, kind of getting...
No, could never happen. Oh, shit.
But I guess I picked him because in the first Independence Day, he's a pretty awesome president, you know. He fought till the end. He was up there in the air in the jet with his troops. He wasn't hiding in a bunker dictating. He seemed like a pretty cool dude. But then when the sequel came out, did you guys see the second Independence Day?
Excuse me, there's a sequel?
Yeah, it was called Resurgence. It came out what?
No, there wasn't.
Well,
no, there wasn't.
bear with me. Bear with me. But there was a sequel that I believe the events of that movie took place about 20 years after the first film's events. So Bill Pullman's character obviously isn't president anymore. But he is dictated as elderly and confused and just out of his mind. He's got like a great big white beard and white hair, and he's like being cared for because everyone thinks he's crazy because he keeps saying, aliens are coming, aliens are coming. And I thought, okay, well, the aliens spoke with him in the first film, you know, telepathically. And everyone was aware of this. So why are they deeming him nuts now?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like in Ghostbusters 2, when, you know, they're standing trial for like fucking up the city and stuff. Like, did you guys not see the big, like 5-story tall Stay Puft marshmallow ghost walking down the street? Like, how can you deem them crazy? Like, how can they deem him nuts and saying that I'm getting communications, aliens are coming back? Like, he's a fucking nutbag. Nah.
Well, especially
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, just especially at the end of the first movie where everything was like so apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Like you saw like the freaking Sydney Dome and there was like the freaking UFO sticking out of it. And
yeah. But he's crazy. Getting back in his room, put a blanket on him. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think sometimes when they write these, they should make a better link. Yeah. A more plausible, like staying within the world that you built in the first one, or whatever world you set up. Who is it? George MacDonald?
Yeah, George MacDonald.
That's an old one. But there's an old, what did he?
Well, there's an old essay written by, he's considered like I guess you could say one of the fathers of modern fairy tales. And he wrote an essay that both inspired C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. And in the essay, George MacDonald talks about if you set up certain rules into your world, don't go back and break them because it's going to take
Then
off
it's
the reader.
confusing. And he was talking about stories, but obviously movies are stories too.
Mhm.
And I read that essay with him, and I try to follow that all the time. If you have a character that acts differently than the way you set it up, that's not good for the reader. You have to show why they're different. And I think that happens a lot in movies,
Yeah.
where they break the rules that they built, and they didn't give you a little bridge, and so it's jarring.
Well, I was going to say, chances are it's because they have to deal with producers.
Oh, no doubt.
Producers
Yeah.
are like, we need some money. How are we going to do this? Can't have this. Can't have this. Got to have that. And then it feels kind of disjointed.
Yeah.
Although in New York, they would argue about the bill. We lived there for 10 years, and I could totally see them saying, I don't care if you saved us all. Who's going to pay for this? Like, they're really...
That's true. But at the same time, they were acting like they were nuts. Like they were acting like they were crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That part, yeah.
Like at the beginning of the second film, they were standing trial for, I guess, the events of the first film. And I just thought, huh? Like, I don't understand. Like, what were they supposed to do? Just let him go? And no one believed him until the ghosts of these dead inmates were flying around the courtroom. And then they still were deemed crazy later in the film. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah.
The best
New York.
explanation ever.
Today, no ghosts tomorrow. Who's going to pay?
Yeah.
Hey, might sound crazy. You might not know about this, but it's the only place I know of that some guy with a 2 foot by 2 foot apartment had a tiger in his apartment. So
That's true. That's
it is,
true.
yeah, Ming.
He had other animals
And
too.
crocodile.
Yeah, he had a crocodile in the bathtub, and he had a tiger. And you said there's actually a memorial to the tiger.
Yes, he ended up in the Ohio Zoo.
Yeah, so they removed the NYPD. There's a hilarious picture, if you look for it online, of the NYPD trying to get the tiger out of this guy's apartment. And I think they gave it to the zoo. And after he passed away, the tiger, I mean, they actually put a little memorial to the tiger saying that it was the tiger from the apartment building.
What zoo did you say that was?
I think it was in Ohio. I saw the memorial.
Probably Cincinnati.
I don't know, man. I wonder if it's Columbus. I'm going to have to look next time we're there. I mean,
but oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, but this is Ohio. I mean, people with exotic pets that can't take care of them. That's like everybody 5 miles out of town.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'll have to look, though, because I know the Columbus Zoo does that. Like, they have statue, like, monuments of some of their animals that have passed away, you know, that were big parts of the zoo. So I wonder if that's where it was.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like you saw the news article.
Ming the tiger.
Ming the tiger. Ming the merciless.
Definitely researching that. Damn. Yeah, I don't understand. How do you survive living in that small of an apartment with a tiger and an alligator? Like, I don't get it. Like, even if you did raise them from youth, I would still be petrified that I'm going to wake up with this thing having a hold of my throat, you know? I don't get it.
And that's what happened. He ended up going to the emergency room. He had a big rash on his arm. And the doctor, he's trying to tell the doctor, no, it was just a dog. The doctor's like, that's not a dog. And then he informed the authorities.
Hell of a dog.
It was just a dog. Really? Yeah. So.
Wow. That makes more sense. Okay, that makes more sense. But I feel like there was a picture in the press of that tiger looking out the window of the building or something.
There is. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm looking more into that because I bet you it was probably Columbus Zoo. Anyway, does anyone else have any political leader picks they want to get off their chest before we decide to move on? I know, Suzy, you said you had another one. Anyone else?
I've got one more.
Okay, well, let's let Suzy go first, and then we will end with Randy.
I was going to say President Camacho from Idiocracy.
Oh, wow.
Played by Terry Crews.
I haven't seen that in so long, but Terry Crews is priceless as anything he plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
We rewatched it a few weeks ago with our kids just to show them. They kind of got it, kind of didn't. And when things happen in the news and we're like, Idiocracy.
Slowly, you'll seep in.
Yeah, and just so they have a reference point to all the little memes and things they might say. I'm like, okay, it's this movie. But he was great in it. He was really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in so long. I don't even remember a lot of it, but one thing I do know is anytime anything political is coming up or there are election debates, anything like that, everyone starts talking about, Idiocracy. It rings so true on so many levels.
We have to make like a list of recommended movies.
Yeah, please do, because you've already got a lot on my list here. I'm definitely going to be watching Dr. Strangelove. I wonder if that's on streaming.
I'm sure it's got to be.
It's got to be somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I won't look now. That's rude. But Randy, what about you? You said you had another one as well.
So the last one I had, and just every time I rewatch this with the kids, I just keep thinking he nails it. But Robin Williams is Theodore Roosevelt in the United Museum trilogy.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
He just the his personality mixed with, if you ever hear recordings or know about Theodore Roosevelt, like it's just spot on. And I just really wish he would have been around to do like a not a full documentary, but like a mockumentary or something, just the life of Teddy Roosevelt. I think would be awesome.
Yeah, he was really, really good, wasn't he? I mean, he's always good, but even if his representation wasn't like super accurate, it would still be really damn good. I haven't seen those in a long time either. I'm getting behind. Everything everyone's bringing up, like, oh, I haven't seen that in forever. Man, I'm getting behind out here.
You get to watch them again when you have kids.
Oh, yeah.
See these.
Keeps it fresh.
Keeps it fresh.
Trying to pound into the kid's head everything you believe and love. And yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't like it? You're not getting dinner tonight.
Back in your closet.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out so well, actually.
Yeah. The only other thing I had to bring to the table was in the Simpsons movie, they were showing Arnold Schwarzenegger / Rainier Wolfcastle as the president of the United States. And it made me think like, okay, we've seen Arnie as a governor, but what would it be like if Arnold Schwarzenegger really ran for president? Like, it'd be something to think about, wouldn't it? Like, he would probably win, right?
You know what's crazy? He actually would seem normal.
Yeah. He's got a damn good chance after everything that's happened if he ran right now.
You're like, wow, yeah, Arnold, yeah, could be worse.
What are they going to say? Do you have a secret love child? Yes, I do. Have you?
And it still semes like a way better choice.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
Oh,
Here we are.
Idiocracy.
It's like he wants to make America great again, but this dude killed a predator. So,
Oh, that's another one we showed our kids.
And the Terminator.
Oh, yeah. Talk about movies, again, we were talking about Dr. Strangelove and, things that at the time were kind of a little bit laughable. And now we're like, we're looking at a little, this could happen now with AI and the Terminator. I mean, I'm not saying anything prolific here that anyone else hasn't said, but damn, it's kind of scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we're not big. We think AI is super hyped up.
Yeah.
However, in terms of technology, yes, I agree with you. Surveillance, all that kind of stuff. It's really scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But AI there's so many stories on AI where it's like, it's really a group of people in India who are like really programming this. Or I read there was a 60 Minutes news report on how they're training AI, which is programmers in, I think it was Ghana in Africa. And they it was Kenya, that's right. And they're the ones who have to program in to recognize items. So they're not thinking. It's not AI like.
It's not sentient.
Yeah, people think AI like these things. This program is thinking.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just lots and lots of data that people are supplying, and then it can run through the data quickly. Yeah. Which is an achievement in itself, right?
Sure.
Super fast processing is impressive and it's amazing, but they pitch it like it's thinking for itself. And they still haven't gotten there yet.
Basically, these guys need to get their stocks up, so they need to sort of market it. It's, this pencil has AI in it, AI powered.
It's like cheese, right? You just pour it on top.
It's like, no, come on. It's. I like to call it more like automatic tasking.
Right.
So it brings in, you put in the information, good information in, junk out. That's all it does. And it does it at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
But it isn't sentient. And that's thank God, because That'd actually be very scary. If it was
But don't you think that that's the direction somebody's moving in, though? Like to take all this quick information that they're able to access like that and make it somehow sentient?
The problem with sentience is we don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
So,
we don't really understand what's in here. So it's really hard to replicate it. But the faster it gets, the more it can be like, okay, you take care of this and we'll just stand, kind of like a Star Trek episode or something, right? Like the computer runs everything.
Yeah.
It's only a hair. It's not a big differentiation between something that has a lot of data and can process and send, but they really don't understand. They don't understand what makes you think creatively. They don't get that.
And if you talk to neuroscientists,
but, it's very Star Trek.
Which I have some in my. I'm the artist in the family. I'm the black sheep of my family. Everyone else is into the science and everything else. So I have a niece who's a neuroscience scientist, and I've asked her, "So what do we know about consciousness?" She said, "At this point, this is philosophy. We have no working formula as to know what it is, and it's one of the great mysteries, right?" So imagine trying to make something that we don't even understand.
It won't happen by accident. What isn't that?
What, the Spider-Man?
No, like the moment of the spark.
Oh, the
oh my God,
singularity.
Isaac Asimov,
the
right?
Singularity.
He thought at some point there might be a singularity where it will suddenly come into consciousness,
right?
Which is basically luck or whatever. Yeah, I guess if you wait for luck, it could happen.
The big danger of AI is not necessarily its sentience; it's actually its error rate. So, for example, years ago, Toyota had a whole issue where there was an error in their machines, so it replicated this error in millions of cars. I don't know if you remember, they had to have a big recall back. So Toyota decided, we're going to bring back I think it was Toyota or Honda, one of the Japanese companies. They're going to bring back what they call the gods. And the gods were the people who checked the cars. There were these people who checked the cars to make sure there weren't any errors.
Control.
And he was saying the problem with automatic tasking of any sort is that you program it, and if there's an error and you're relying on it, boom, you replicate it, and you're kind of screwed.
Everything's in Star Trek. That's all.
Star
Trek and Twilight Zone have the answers to every problem in the world, honestly.
There you go.
You're not wrong.
And honestly, I'm not losing any sleep yet until Alexa actually understands me when I say what I'm looking for.
Oh, okay. Well, and you're lucky you don't have a Scottish accent.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because if you've got some sort of accent, you're screwed.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, I guess I
freedom.
What's that?
What's that?
I'm sorry. Were you looking for a recipe for French fries?
Right. You'll never take that for
Well, half of me is relieved that there's really no chance of this going sentient now, but another half of me is really petrified at how little I know about it after hearing you guys talk about it. Damn.
I'll give you an example, because this was recently in the news. The Healthcare United, the insurance company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mean the guy who...
The guy, yeah, but not about the company, because I know there's a lot of heated debate.
So, but just to put in context, right, just a few days ago in New York City, the CEO of...
United Health.
United Healthcare.
Right? There was a man who shot him and got away. They're still looking for him.
So United Healthcare has an AI. They're being sued, I think it's in Minnesota, in which their AI is faulty. And their AI is so faulty that they had it was...
Like a 90%.
Yeah, 90%.
Yep.
So I think that the scary part is the error rate of these things.
But okay, I'll just, in case you're not sure what it means, they put a program in charge of approving or declining insurance claims.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it had a 90% error rate, which means it was rejecting 90% of all claims. This was an error. I personally say that was on purpose because that's just how I think.
Yeah, I agree.
The software isn't working right. Oh, darn.
Oh, it's not. Oops, my God.
Yeah, we're victims too in this.
It was the IT department. We'll just fire them and we'll hire some new guys.
Yeah.
Wow, that's messed up.
It's really messed up.
So are they thinking that this hit in New York City is a result of somebody probably not getting something they needed?
I've heard
deserved,
everything online. Everything from a professional hitman to a disgruntled client to a hero vigilante at this point. I mean, there's so many people cheering him on. I saw someone was sharing on social media pictures of a whole bunch of CEOs from insurance companies and related who make, oh my gosh, like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So it was their picture, the company, and how much they make. And they were playing, remember that old song, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So a lot of people were not upset that this happened.
That's messed up. I'm sure he probably did some fucked up stuff, but nobody deserves that. That's not the way to handle anything, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
It's bad. Did he deserve it? Probably. Murder is bad, though.
Yeah.
As long as maybe he had some gambling debts.
Yeah, who knows?
Gambling debts.
He had some shady stuff, and they took him out. Who knows? Anything could be possible.
Could be a Boeing deal. Like those guys that every time they showed up to testify, somehow they just off themselves.
It's hard to tell, That's a good point. It could be something completely unrelated to what his profession was. Damn.
Yeah.
This is how we often write our comics. We'll read things and just spitball whatever comes to mind. And I'll be like, that's good. Let's write that down.
Well, that makes episode 1 of NECROCON make a lot more sense.
I should have put in that comic, in the episode of NECROCON is a debate.
Yes.
So, and we posted it just before the presidential debate. Just before they had their final debate with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And so we thought, okay, let's get the debate out there before they actually have the debate or before the election.
It was before the election. And
I researched some things that they'd actually said, because both of them have said weird stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them have said weird stuff. Yeah. And we're like, in my personal opinion, I think all politicians are kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Canadian, so American politics, whatever. I don't have to get involved because I don't have skin in the game. So I just think everybody's crazy. Yeah, I think, you know what? They're both crazy. And there you go. But when I was researching things that they had said, some of the things they said sounded so nuts. I was actually trying to work it in to that first episode. And there were things I didn't add. I just put a flavor of it, except for Donald Trump at the end with they're eating the cats and eating the dogs.
Yeah.
I had to include that because it's so funny. I wish I wrote it. But there was even Kamala Harris. She said weird stuff and she'll go off on tangents like no one's in the room. And he had said some things that I didn't even include them. They were just so bizarre or so mean. But he did say, if I went in the middle of the street in Manhattan, I think he said, if I go to
34th Street.
I forget what I wrote, but I wrote what he said. If I shot someone in Fifth Avenue in the middle of the day, I would still get elected.
That's nuts,
he said that last time. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'm putting that in the comic.
He's just living up to his hero, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson literally, I don't know if you know the story about him and Dickinson, but he literally killed this guy.
They had a duel.
The whole duel. And there's rules to the duel where you're supposed to wait for the other guy to reload.
Oh, no. Seriously.
Shot him anyway.
He's like, I think I want to live.
Yeah, so it's not like, I don't know. We had some doozies. And the crazy part is that NECROCON was an idea we had with the Bush administration years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we were like, but we don't have time for it. Let's just shelve it right now. We got other things we got to write.
It's really sad that we can just say, okay, rotate, get rid out with the old and in with the new.
So, yeah.
The old idea still applied. We just flushed it out because we hadn't really flushed it out before, but that idea was still there.
Still the same. Yeah.
Remember how everybody was just, beside themselves with George W. Like how end of days it seemed. And like looking back now, it's just kind of like, wow. Wow.
He was the mild one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry. Trump will be rehabilitated. I'll tell you this right now.
So how's Canada this time of the year?
Yeah, right.
Give it about 10 years,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you'll hear people, oh, yeah, no, he wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Because some other guy will get to be the, Yahoo. I don't know who.
Oh, wow. Now
An
you're
older
really scaring me,
generation-
man.
Older generations, Nixon was the worst,
Yeah.
right?
Then Reagan.
Nixon was the worst. And then Reagan, well, a lot of people like Reagan though, but I would say Nixon was the pinnacle of the worst. And then George Bush, but everything gets softened in time.
Yeah.
So it's possible. Trump
Yeah, I
could
mean,
get-
look at mudslinging over political, just the mudslinging in the 20s and 30s compared to now, 100
Oh,
years
yeah.
later.
Well,
Yeah.
whoever thought Dick Cheney would come along? I'll sit there and go,
Shoot somebody in the face and
Yeah.
Oh, I love that you know that. That's
Yeah.
great. So many people don't know that. Yeah. Why is having Dick Cheney on your side a good idea? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one.
I
that's what-
really haven't thought about that, but you're absolutely right. There will come something down the road that makes all this, what we're currently in, seem very
Oh God, I
tame.
hope not.
It's
not-
probably unavoidable, though, right? It's
I've accepted this.
yeah.
Not
so
to,
many things.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to get political, but just think back, what was it, 10 years ago with, what was it, the dude that screamed that was running for the nomination that just because he went like, yeah,
Howard Dean.
that got him out.
Yeah.
Like that was enough to sink his political career. And now
Now he'd be hoisted onto shoulders and paraded up the street.
this is our guy. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't a billionaire. That's the
Maybe.
trick.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
Well, our like the subtitle for NECROCON is "If you're not at the table, you're on the menu."
Yeah.
And that's actually from, and I wrote it down because it's almost the same, but I didn't want to mix it up. The real quote is actually Anthony Blinken, right? He said that in this year, he said, "If you're not at the table in the international system, you're on the menu."
Wow.
So I was like, "Thank you, Anthony Blinken. That's the perfect subtitle for our comic."
yeah.
I just took out a little bit, but he actually said that.
That
So in
is
the whole
nuts.
world, you're on the menu for us.
I love that you two are like behind the like glass window at the zoo and we're the ones that are in the lion enclosure like running around.
I just hear
Are
something.
we?
Honestly, and I listen to people say even random things, and I'm like, I don't say it all. It depends on who I'm with. It's like, that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Like, do you not hear that sounds crazy?
Yeah.
It's very, and then I write it down because it's funny or whatever.
Well, it's like looking at the whole thing about the cats and dogs being eaten in Springfield. If you picked up this book and started reading that, having no knowledge of, what had really happened with that debate, it would seem ludicrous. Oh, well, the writer's taking liberties here, obviously.
Exactly. I'm debating. I don't know if it's too political or not because we're leaving it in comedy, but I was thinking of putting the actual quotes at the end. Like, so you could read the quotations at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Just so it's like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. If it was me reading it, I would like it, but I don't want to remove people from the fantasy.
Right.
Sure.
So I'm not
like a little helpful reminder that, okay, it's kind of crazy out there. I know this might seem fictional, but they really said this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Buckle up.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say it's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I probably would, but I'm not a comic maker.
I'm on the fence on both of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That or just as the footnote, put another Bigley quote and just leave it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's nuts.
It's
But
It is.
It's good material.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I just looking at it today, I saw there are 2 more episodes. What are you calling them?
Yeah, the way we broke, because it's just a bunch of short stories. It's like an anthology. It's just different short stories. Whatever we happen to feel like doing, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And the art styles are always different because Miguel, I'm like, do whatever you want. I'll write the scripts and you can belt out whatever you want it to look like. And that's what we do. So it keeps it really fun for us. It keeps it interesting. I mean, it's free, so we got to have something fun to do with it. And that's what we do. So whatever ideas, and sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter, all different styles. And sometimes they're horror, mystery. I kind of like comedy, but so we have like, he gets a little more serious. Sometimes he'll do a whole thing and it's too, I'm like, oh, now I have to write something so serious for this. Because the drawings are serious.
Somebody's got to eat a cat somewhere. Come on.
Someone's got to do something. So when I help, when it's both of us on the story, it tends to be funnier or a little bit of a humor element.
More balanced, I think.
You get a little too serious.
Get very serious, yeah.
But they're good. I mean, we've had good responses to those too.
But you guys know how to balance each other out. You guys know how to work together to come to a good like level ground on the story you're wanting to tell.
Actually, good. I don't know. We've never not. If he doesn't like an idea, I don't do it. I don't know. We've never argued about this is good. No, this is good.
Usually it starts out, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then we just
sort of
flesh it out.
Bounce back and forth and then.
But if something doesn't work for him, I assume it won't work for other people.
Yeah.
I don't get clingy with my ideas. It's like a joke. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Like sometimes I'll even get my kids to read a little line. So we also have like an all ages comic and it's on the Monkey King. It's also on Webtoon and it's total slapstick, silly humor. Totally silly.
No cats being eaten.
No cats being eaten. Well, it's the Monkey King, so there's a giant monkey.
Yeah.
And he meets a kid who thinks he's a wolf. It's all fantasy, right? It's called Monkey King Lost in the West. So it's playing on the actual story, Monkey King Journey to the West, which is the original Chinese mythological story from I don't know how many hundreds of years ago now.
Okay.
And so I changed it to instead of Journey to the West, I put Lost in the West. So Monkey King's lost in the West. He meets with this, I guess we could say Germanic kid. I don't know. I didn't really place him. But he was raised by a two-headed she-wolf. That was Miguel.
That was me. I misread something, I thought. I was reading about Romulus and Remus.
Oh, yeah, Greek. Yeah, I was going to say, that's like, Roman or Greek?
Instead of having two kids and one wolf, make it a two-headed wolf and one kid.
Right. And then I was thinking, how could kids raised by wolves or a wolf create civilization? Have they never met these? Like, and there's a whole psychological section for kids raised in the wild, which are basically after I think 6 or 7, they can't be how can it be socialized, right? So I was like,
so our kid is really stupid, like really, really stupid, but he's really sweet. But he's so stupid, like painfully stupid.
I know a lot of people like that.
Up with him and just think he's so fun. He's such a stupid kid, but he's really sweet and he just has a crazy fun with this kid. And then they meet a girl who's an Amazon, wants to be an Amazon, and she's got a horrible temper. And the three of them cause mayhem everywhere they go.
Yeah.
And so if I have a joke in there, and I'll get my kids to read it, and if they don't laugh as soon as they read it, it's out.
Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Who better? Who better to
if they give me the time of day, though. Sometimes they don't want to read anything I give them. But if they're nice, and if I'm like, okay, just read this, Mom, come on, just read it, and I just watch their face.
How old are they?
Oh, now they're older. Now they're 14 and 16.
14 and 16.
Wow.
So we get that we don't have the time of day for us anymore.
I've got a 13-year-old. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
The tweens. Oh, I feel for you. Yeah, it's rough.
Okay, though, but yeah, they, I was the same way. They're not impressed with anything. That's just the state.
Yeah,
and then it gets better. But that's how I usually work with stories or with jokes. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yeah. Fix it or throw it away.
Sure.
A little more attached to my.
He's more. I'm
like, what do you mean I got to redo this panel?
Yeah.
But I love it.
Well, yeah. Or I'll be like, honey, the eyebrow is like way up here and he'll say everything else is pristine. And he'll yell and then I'll come back and he'll have the eyebrow. He'll be like, you're right. It looks better now.
Kind of like the dad in Christmas Story.
Yeah, he's very protective of his artwork. But if he reads my stuff and says, I don't like that, I say, okay, what part don't you like?
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you guys still know how to work with each other and come to a good solution.
I
and make
leave him
great
alone
stories.
when he's like that, and I come back later.
So what did we come to on the eyebrow?
Okay, you can leave the eyebrow, but everybody who looks at that panel will say, "Why is their eyebrow?" It's up to you.
And I'll be working the rest in, and then all of a sudden I'll be
saying.
like, an eyebrow staring at me now. Oh man, okay.
Can't unsee it.
Yeah, he cannot see it, and I know. I feel bad because he spends so long. He does beautiful work, and then someone stupid comes in. Oh well, I think the eyebrow's 2 centimeters too wide. You know, I know how that sucks. So
I get it.
You can see the look on his face. He might still be harboring resentment about that
and
eyebrow.
honestly, I don't say it, and I only say it if it's something that if my eye goes right to something,
Yeah.
I know other people's will too. And then I think in my head, how am I going to say this so he doesn't get mad? What do I do?
Well, then again, I can be my own worst critic too.
You are.
I could sit there and just be like, "Oh, this is
that's
all crap.
Yeah, we both.
What am I doing?" You know,
Yeah.
and then literally erase a whole panel 6 or 7 times and then redraw it again.
Damn.
So I can be very brutal on myself.
I have to tell him sometimes, this is a free comic.
Well,
You can chill out. You
Yeah.
can chill. But he's
I'm not like that.
Yeah, no, he's not.
I'm not like that,
I know what it's
so.
like though to be your own worst critic and like be totally down on something you want to work out. And like I remember recording like musical demos at home, like having an idea in my head, but just sitting there nailing, demo after demo after demo, not getting anything I wanted, and just having to come to the realization like that first one was fine. I'm thinking too hard about this. Like
Right.
I just need to, finding my limit because I can totally obsess on something that doesn't need obsessed on.
Well, to let you know something that might work, I tend to use this as a way to calm my perfectionism. It's a concept called Kaizen, which is actually started by an American, but the Japanese took it on. And the whole idea was that you improve something through increments each time you do it, and that you don't you chase perfection, but you're never going to attain it. So the idea is to get excellence, but through the acknowledgement that, I'm going to chase this perfection, but I'm never going to attain it. And so far, it's kept me from like literally ripping up pieces of paper and tossing stuff out. So
I find writing it might just be with us, but it's so much easier for me to just delete a paragraph. Even if I have to think of a new idea or a new character or something like that. But when I see him doing a whole page, a whole panel, and it's not like, I think that's harder. Maybe it's like, I know people say, oh, writing is so hard and stuff. And it's true. It's not like I'm a great writer or anything, but I think it's easier to put it aside or just don't use it or something. But when it's art, it just takes.
And music can be very tough, especially because you're recording it. It's not like you can go in and edit it later, but it's not the same.
It takes a long
it's like
time.
You have to nail it pretty dead on the first time almost.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was cleaning stuff out of the basement and I came across a spindle, like of what appeared to be blank CDs, one of those like 50 CD tall ones. And I thought, where did this come from? And I started taking the CDs out and seeing that every one of them had something on it. So I started going through them, listening to them. Every single CD was the same song with just a slight tweak on volume here because I remember at the time I was like, I cannot trust the speakers on my stereo in the house. Like if I want to hear what this truly sounds like, it has to be put on a CD and then taken to the car and listened to there because that's where everything sounds best, So I put myself in this death spiral with this stupid song and wasted a ton of CDs. Only to realize that the first one was just fine after obsessing on it. It's crazy. But, I like the way that you think, striving for that perfection, but also accepting that you're never going to fully get it. You just have to get as close to it as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the curse. If you have a vision in your head.
And a deadline.
Vision and a deadline.
That's some fire under the ass for sure, a deadline.
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, this one's good. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like vapor too, because you're visualizing vapor. And then you're trying to grab onto vapor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And trying to bring it into like a solid mass.
Yeah.
And it's never quite the vapor you expect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the serious one, as you can tell.
No, that's true.
No, dude, I get you. I'm a freelance landscape designer, so I totally.
You're still tweaking and doing stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's been plenty of times where it's been like 2 a.m. and I'm meeting them at like 9 the next morning. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. This is going to have to be good. And they love it and don't see any of the issues I had with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's another
Right,
thing
that's
too.
enough.
We see all the mistakes in our
Yeah.
work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my God. The things I've obsessed over on this show, like little noises in the background that I like couldn't get out. And then like I will apologize to someone after I've released it. And they're like, what noise? I didn't hear anything. Oh, crap. You know?
Right.
It's because you're your music, your sound engineering, you're doing all this stuff, so you're fully aware of it.
Yeah.
And we're just enjoying the overall, right?
Yeah.
So you don't really
Yeah.
notice the eyebrow.
Well, that's, you know, after all this, the eyebrow, after all this time of editing the show, you know, over a decade, I like have a meter of patience and a meter called fuck it. And, you know, as the patience meter comes down, the fuck it meter rises, and somewhere they meet and it's just like, good enough, get it out, you know, and that's worked for me. So.
I want to imagine that on a T-shirt somehow. I love that idea of these two in perfect harmony, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. And once you find the balance between the two, knowing where that line is, you're fine. At least I've been. I've never I've never filled a spindle of CDs with a podcast episode striving for perfection after that.
You will not get it with us, so.
Yeah.
You can lock up early.
Yeah, you can lock up early on that.
One thing I wanted to touch on with you guys really quick, and it's something I just learned today when I got on 7robots.com to kind of look around, see what you guys have been up to. And I was seeing that you guys had your very own podcast. What was it called? The 7 Robots Fantastically Terrible Podcast.
We dipped our toe in that, and we were so busy. And that's why I'm like amazed that you've done this, because it's a lot of work. And we'd record it and then I would edit everything. And like, then I get into we need an intro song. So I create the music for the intro and for the exit. We had a little segment and I create the music for that. And then it's a whole other world. And then there's work, and then there's the comic, and then there's the kids. So it was just a lot to do all at the same time. But yeah, when it's sound and you got your headphones on, it's so easy to be obsessive with that.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, we started it during COVID.
And then to cut it, I'd be like, I wanted the perfect cut if there was a mistake, and I didn't want any little noises and any little breaks. And that
sounds
took
familiar.
So long. I was up for ages doing that.
And plus, we started during COVID.
But they were really fun to do.
Yeah, we started during COVID, so there was a little bit.
I had a little more time because we were working from home and everything.
Yeah.
I see.
But it was fun. Like, we picked topics again that we liked, and then we liked researching. So the ones that we did, I really liked, and you know, maybe we could in the future. But yeah, I like hats off to you for continuing to do it. It's so time consuming.
Oh my God. Yeah, truly. Truly.
I was like, no, I can't do all of this. If I'm going to pick, I'll keep doing the writing in the comic, because I can't also do the podcast. So it's just too much work.
How many episodes did you guys release?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I think it might have been about 10.
I could check my website.
No, that's okay. I invite everyone at home to go to 7
I don't think
Robots.
we had 30. We did 20 something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we suck at promoting stuff. So
preaching to the choir over here.
We are so bad at that. We'll like do so much work, put so many hours into it, and then it's like, what do? You put it on X. You put it on Instagram. Like, what do you do to get people to actually subscribe or like? It's hard.
And it gets harder too. It gets even harder as we get, move into the future, because the saturation never stops. There's always more and more and more to take their attention away from your project. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the algorithms.
Yes.
Algorithms just create these different highways, right?
A lot of our subscribers were from a few years ago, and a lot of them were from, at the time, it was Twitter. And then they changed their algorithm, and we don't get the play at all anymore. So when people saw the comic, they would subscribe. But even on Webtoon, who knows how to find your work there? Usually they promote romance. Most of the first page is just romance. So we're not in that category. We're like horror, which is the opposite, right? Horror, mystery, comedy. None of their like I've never seen anything like our stuff on there, and so the only by accident. People used to accidentally come across it, and I don't know.
It's
Now
crazy to think that romance would be featured over horror.
Oh yeah, they're very. I guess it's their
generational thing, I think.
It's their audience, and then you start. I think they get into that problem of this is where we get more interaction, and so they just keep promoting the same thing over and over again, and they only have a homepage that has a certain number of comics that they promote, and most of them are already super popular.
Yeah.
So you're just promoting what's already popular, and there's like a little section for new stuff or indie stuff. And again, they usually recycle the same ones, or it's romance or slice of life.
That's kind of how our network is that we're on. You know, there's so many podcasts on our network, but there's a handful of shows that are like political shows, or a show that's like how to make
murder mystery.
Yeah, murder mystery, how to make yourself rich overnight kind of podcasts. You know, things that no matter what you're saying, if that's your theme, you got listeners, kind of like true crime podcasts. And those are the ones that always gets all the advertisement, which is silly. You think you'd want to...
Yeah, they keep going the same thing.
Yeah, you would think that you'd want to promote some of these other shows that aren't getting quite as much traffic to... I mean, I don't need to tell you why. You get it, but...
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
It is.
So everyone needs to do everything for canned air.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the point I was getting to.
Everything.
And if you haven't subscribed, shame on you.
I would have to agree.
A pox on you and your children.
Shame.
Oh my God. I like the way you guys think. Now, another thing I remember, and this I still see on 7robots.com, was crocheting. There was like custom toys being crocheted and stuff. Are you still doing that?
Oh yeah, I still do that. I have yeah, it's really funny. I used to just do it for my kids. They would ask me to make something and I didn't know what to do. I went on YouTube and I made a little ball. I made a sphere. That was the first thing I ever made. And then it just kind of goes from there. But I like to make little toys. And I used to make little kind of video game. That's kind of where I started doing little, like Pac-Man was my first one. I made a little Pac-Man.
Oh, I see.
And then
Plants vs. Zombies.
Plants vs. Zombie was big. And I'm like, how do I make a Plants vs. Zombie? So it was all a lot of trial and error, mostly based on video game stuff. And then I would just put up my patterns for free for other people. And it actually got a lot of traction. So I started making some patterns that I charge, not a lot. You know, I put it out there.
Yeah,
and,
very inexpensive based on what I was seeing.
Yeah, I figure who's going to pay a lot for a crochet pattern? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm marketing and not pricing things. So
there are people who probably would, but you know, you're not trying to gouge anyone. I mean, again, it's very, very affordable stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, 7robots.com, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry,
nice. That was good. You had a good voice and everything. Nice.
Welcome to 7robots.com.
But we do. I have one little character that, like, I made a little Josephine Baker, you know, the jazz era singer, dancer. She's famous she's American, but went to France during the jazz era. And she's famous for wearing like a little banana skirt.
Oh, okay. I think I know who you're talking about.
That image. Okay, so Josephine Baker, very popular. She's actually an amazing person. We have a podcast on her as well because she did tons of stuff. She was like in the civil rights era. She was in the French Resistance. She was a pilot. She was a spy. Amazing person. Anyways, I made a cute little doll of her and I put it on Instagram and I got a good response from it. And life is really strange. So Josephine Baker used to have a house called Le Chateau de Milonde. It's here in France. We live in France, by the way. Yeah. And she comments, she's like, oh, this, like the actual woman who runs the whole thing, the whole chateau. Inside the chateau, there's a little
boutique.
A boutique, a souvenir shop. And she was like, oh, these are really cute. Like, could you make some for our souvenir shop? And I'm like, I felt like saying, yeah.
Yeah, right? Wow.
Like, yeah, what would you like? And that was a few years ago. So every year I make some for her gift shop, which is hilarious because it's the gift shop where she used to live.
That's
And
awesome.
it's a beautiful place, and it's I haven't gone there though, but it's if you're a tourist and you like that stuff, you can go visit her house, and my little dolls are in her gift shop.
That is
So that
so
was fun.
cool.
It's so weird, isn't it? And then I have another one now where I have a few in a gallery in Paris as well that they like her. So that's the only like
Wow.
one I created that has kind of taken off as a little doll.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
do
all
other
you need is one thing to take off, and the rest kind of takes care of itself, right?
suppose. Yeah, like she's a regular client now. That's true. Like I've done stuff for her for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like she
Yeah.
always has orders a couple times a year. So yeah, that's true. So
That's
kinda
something I
nice.
would put on your website as seen in.
Nobody
whatever-
really knows what Chateau de Melon is. What is that? I don't know. But the little
Educate 'em.
doll, whenever I post a picture of her, people like it.
Yeah.
It has kind of like that manga cuteness to it that
And
people
when-
just kind of respond to.
When you said earlier that you did a podcast on, are you saying that like one of the episodes of the podcast we were just talking about, or is there like a whole nother show
Yeah.
that's centric
No,
around
no,
her?
no, no. The which I love. I still love the name of our podcast.
Fantastically
the
Terrible.
Fantastically Terrible Podcast, which Miguel named, and I love it.
It's a
It's
great
so-
name, but I can't imagine it's terrible.
No,
Well, it was a joke on. I don't know if you've ever seen Jodorowsky's Dune
you ever seen that?
documentary.
No,
Oh, it's so
one of
funny.
the-
Okay, wait, you know Dune, right?
Right.
I know
Dune,
of
the
it.
book,
Yeah.
The movies. Okay. So back in the 70s, comic book, it's comic book
Yeah,
related.
Jodorowsky's basically.
You know Alejandro Jodorowsky?
He's-
Jodorowsky?
No.
Who
he's
does
a big-
Meta Barons, and he does
He is like, I wouldn't say this Stan Lee. I hate to compare artists that way, but of European comics.
he's a writer then.
Okay.
He's a writer.
Okay.
And
Heavy Metal magazine?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he's one of the
the writers that started when it was the French version. When it was the
yeah,
original.
it was still
Metal.
Before
So-
Kevin Eastman owned it.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, we published in Heavy Metal
Yeah.
Did you
Three
really?
3 times. Yeah.
When was this?
a long time ago.
Uh,
Probably around when we were doing your podcast too.
no, way before that.
Yeah, we were young.
Because
when we did
didn't I swore Kevin Eastman bought it in the 90s, and then he's had
Yeah.
it ever since.
not that long ago. It was him when he owned it.
Yeah.
And
I used to translate for them
yeah, he used
Wow.
to translate
Awesome.
from Spanish into
Yeah.
English for the magazine.
for the magazine. And then I got one story in called Bedbugs, not for kids.
None of
and
them.
then Insomnia.
So that's how we got in. Miguel was the translator, and then it's like, hey, can I like send you a story? And they're like, yeah, kid,
Oh.
come on, go ahead, send it in.
Lost in the Cry in Space that's featured in Ghost Metal.
Yeah.
That was in a Heavy Metal magazine.
Except in Webtoon, we had to cut out any. It was very mild nudity, very mild.
Yeah, I got a little trouble there.
Yeah, we had to cut that all out of Webtoon. They like took it down, and we're like, it's a silhouette.
They're like,
Nope,
oh,
can't have it. This is just a backside. Nope, can't have it.
In
I'm
heavy
like,
metal?
no,
no.
on
On
Webtoon.
Webtoons.
On
He
Webtoon.
reposted
Oh,
it on
oh,
Webtoon.
gotcha. I was going to
Like-
say, what?
Apparently
No, heavy
they're
metal was like
anti-shadow.
more. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you
No. Actually, I did get once censored
in heavy metal.
Mhm.
What was the censor?
Yeah.
It was female frontal nudity, and they're like, no, you can't show hair. So I was like, excuse me?
I totally forgot about that.
And I'm like,
He was
okay.
trying to be all spicy, and it didn't work.
So
out.
I had to
Yeah.
bring up, it was a faceless woman looking into the mirror. So I had to bring up the mirror in order to just clip off that part.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
so long.
That's where
ago.
the heavy metal draws the line. Hair.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
apparently.
I
I
was
would
like,
have never guessed.
I got censored by heavy metal. That's
That's pretty metal in itself, you know?
Right?
something on itself. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Wow.
So this guy, this art or writer, Alexander or Alejandro
Alejandro. Yeah.
Jodorowsky, he published lots of stuff. And in the 70s, he was the original person who wanted to make a Dune movie.
Oh, that journey is fantastic.
And it never got made because this guy is so out there.
I love him.
And they made He's the one who brought together. You should honestly watch.
You
this
should watch
movie.
it.
It's called Jorodowski, like with a J. Jorodowski's Dune.
Dude, you might even find it on YouTube.
It might be on Netflix.
And he put together the
YouTube.
team.
It's him that brought together. Go ahead. You know the
Brought
name.
together Geiger, Mobius, a whole bunch of guys that would literally redefine what science fiction is.
Like the guys who
visual.
designed Alien, it was him that got them together. The guys who designed, like Mobius is a French artist. His name is Jean Giraud, but he goes by Mobius, and he's been in heavy metal. He's designed. He's designed like Tron. He was the designer on Tron. He was the designer on
The Abyss.
The Abyss. Yeah.
The Aliens of the Abyss. He's
I don't know. He did lots of cool designs. And Jorodowski's the one who brought all these guys together and kind of helped launch their careers in Hollywood.
That's incredible.
But his movie was never made. And after you watch this documentary, you'll understand why it was never made. Because they had no concept of time or budget.
Oh yeah, there's this one scene, and I'm going to ruin it for you. I'm sorry.
So
Go for
funny.
it. Go for
He's Spanish, and he describes everything.
Well, he's
so
slaying,
hilarious.
right? So he's sitting there, and he's talking to the guy who would later on become the producer of Star Wars, or one of the funders of it. And the guy's like, "So what's the runtime on this?" Well, I was thinking about an 8-hour film. I like looks at him and goes, "What?" And then he's like, gets all mad. He's like, "Only 8 hours? I want to make it a 12-hour film." And you can just picture this producer thinking, this is insane. He goes, "You know what? A 24-hour film."
Yeah, he keeps upping it. It's like,
I was just on the floor
don't do
laughing.
that. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's so funny. So now they made a documentary out of the movie that was never made.
Yeah. And he wanted Mick Jagger to play Fade.
He had all these people signed on.
Emperor.
He had them signed on.
Yeah.
Dolly was going to be the Emperor. Mick Jagger was going to be Fade. Yeah. He was the one who brought in that idea of the rock star, Sting. A lot of the ideas from him, they used in the Dune
1984 film, which,
And a lot of his ideas were just ripped off in Hollywood.
The great thing about the documentary, it's so heartbreaking,
the
journey this guy goes through. But then somehow, in a weird sort of way, this is a movie that's never made, but then goes on to influence all these other films.
It's like a void.
That is so weird.
It's
wild.
I totally recommend. Jorodowski's Dune. Watch it.
I will.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the name of our show to bring it all the way back.
Okay.
Yeah. We're like, because he says, I had misheard him, but he did say something was terrible. And he said in this particular way. And I said, what if we go fantastically terrible? And I went off on.
So he always says it like he's this guy. Every episode.
Fantastically terrible.
That's how he does it. We used to say hello and welcome to the
Fantastically terrible.
Because he's doing like the Spanish guy.
And I just laugh every time I think about it. Yeah. But my heart goes up. But he would go on, then take all these stories, and he would create what is considered classic European comics.
Wow.
Yes, tons of. If you look him up, he's like a classic European comics. But he'd be popular in the U.S. too. Really good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got me curious. I'm definitely going to be watching that documentary. That is something else.
Dr. Strangelove, Jorodowski's Dune.
I've got my work cut out for me. There were many things that lied between those two titles in the scape of this episode that I have to watch. So, but that's interesting. A movie that never got made, that was ripped off, stolen, and influenced all these other movies around it. That's insane. And right up my alley.
He sent out all these design books.
Well, that's the sad thing. He made these beautiful books, and you can cut us off whenever you have to go, by the way.
No, you're fine. I was just checking, making sure everything's still running.
He made a big mistake. As I'm watching this, I feel bad for his naivete. He made these books, and I wish they had them I wish they had them for sale.
Yeah.
And they were storyboards, character designs, and these artists are amazing artists, like H.R. Geiger and like Mobius. And
there's another guy, I forget his name, but he just passed away.
The guy who did all the sci-fi covers.
He did a lot of sci-fi covers, and he did these spaceships that were painted like tigers.
You know his work if
and I was
you
like,
see it.
Wow, I never really thought about that, but all spaceship
painted like a tiger. I've never.
Yeah,
I've got to see that.
Wild.
I'll get you the.
You're like, why is it that every spaceship is gray?
That's true. Well, yeah, why not? Why not embellish a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, if you got that much technology, what's a paint job?
It makes me think of like the old vans that have like the dragon and the half-naked girl on the side of them from the 70s, you know?
That would be great. Yeah. Like the World War II planes, you know, they have the girls on the side and everything.
The bomber girls. Yeah.
Bomber girls. So yeah, I love that documentary, and that's where we got that from. I always draw inspiration from him in the sense of like, and he's still around. He's like 90 something now, 90 years old. Yeah, he's an interesting character. Unfortunately, some of the other artists have passed away since Geiger passed away. Mobius passed away. Mobius is fantastic. His artwork, his comics are the stuff that, let's put it this way. A lot of the Star Wars artists worked on Star Wars
stuff out.
Would bring with them, because a lot of them are French, brought with them two books, well, two sets of artists, Mobius's, and then another book called Valerian.
Oh, I know Valerian.
Valerian, yes.
Yeah, they made a movie of it not long ago.
But they're from the 60s, and I've been slowly reading them in French. And so those are the two things that people, and as soon as you talk to an artist, you say Mobius, they'll be like, really, where can I get some? Because in the States, the publisher he had to deal with went under, and the contract was tied up. So for a long time, a lot of Mobius' stuff wasn't published in the United States. I think it freed up now, so you're going to start seeing more. If not, you probably already saw a lot more Mobius' stuff. But he's a guy who.
Sorry, again, Valerian was Mobius?
No, that's separate.
That's separate.
That's. But
Miguel jumps around a lot.
Yeah, I do. That's probably my.
Oh, another one that he brought was Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien. That he was also supposed to work on this Dune movie. And I'm trying to find that artist who has that amazing sci-fi art. But
yeah, he was like the father of, considered the godfather of sci-fi cover art, because he would do stuff for I think it was Science Fiction Digest or something like that. Some wonderful stuff. But yeah,
Man. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching that film. That sounds awesome. That sounds incredible. So many influential people in one spot. Kind of like the traveling Wilburys.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And there was probably also a lot of pot and stuff as well, because it was the 70s.
Sure. That's a given.
They were traveling and they met. And
what else are you going to do?
I think Geiger was dropping acid, personally. Some of the stuff he came up with.
His art is so scary. Yeah. He's quite, the alien design, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's Swiss or Swedish?
He's Swiss. Oh, no, he's Swedish.
Swedish?
Yeah. But there's a H.R. Geiger cafe in Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
Which everything in the inside looks like something out of an alien movie. So like the chairs are kind of done in that sort of like crazy texture.
Look like spinal columns and shit.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
What a weird vision, huh? I think his brain would be scary. I'd be like, whoa, okay.
No, I don't want to get inside
open
there.
the door and then you close it again.
Well, and he was supposed to design the Harkonnens. So he designed all the stuff for the Harkonnens, which was perfect because he's definitely the guy.
Yeah, the movie shows some of his art. Oh yeah, so that they actually had a book with all of this amazing art, and they brought it to all the Hollywood studios to pitch the movie, and they left the book with them. And so they didn't make that many of these books, and they kept them. So it's like Star Wars. All right, we can do this idea. Blah blah blah. We can use this idea. So it was the naivete of giving them this beautiful, full of amazing art and ideas and shots that he had envisioned. And not a good idea.
What a shame. I mean, come on. Kind of rookie mistake, though.
I want this book.
Yeah, that would be great.
I can't blame you. Yeah, I've got my work cut out for me. I've got a lot of watching to get on here, but I'm happy. It's a good problem to have because I never know what to watch. And that sounds right up my alley. So thank you for that. Super stoked on that. But I want to remind everyone, 7robots.com. You can check out everything Suzy and Miguel have going on over there. Their comics, more than which we even spoke about here. And I also want to throw a link in the description to this to get the Super Corporate Heroes, because of all the comics we've looked at over the years, that one really stands out in memory. I can't recommend it enough to people, so I'll put that link below.
And they could read that for free too on web. We actually, in little bits, are posting it on Webtoon.
Oh, that's on Webtoons as well.
Yeah,
I saw Earth Dream was on there. I didn't realize that was.
Yeah, Earth Dream.
Yeah,
and
change the name to Past Due.
You'll notice though the writing is different because every time I look at something I used to do, I don't like it and I rewrite it.
Perfectionist.
Every time it's in front. So if you read something we did a few years ago and it's on Webtoon now, the dialogue is probably all different.
Yeah.
Hopefully the jokes are better.
And we've changed the name, so it's no longer Super Corporate Heroes. We called it Past Due.
Past Due.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I saw that on the website, and I was like, that one got under my radar. I don't remember Past Due.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's a different name. It's Past Due.
Gotcha.
It's the same art, but I did it for a vertical scroll, so a little bit different the way it's laid out, and different dialogue.
Oh, such a good book, though. And the fact that it's on there, I'll definitely link it for you guys. And it's free. I mean, what more do you want? All these comics are free, right? I mean, for the... Yeah. Great thing about webcomics. I mean, I'm sure you guys would love to have a little more cheddar in your pocket like the rest of us do, but, at the same time, webcomics are freaking awesome. Love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, but it's fun to have an outlet.
Of course. But again, I mentioned 7robots.com, and that's also your handle on Instagram. And you each have your own handles, Miguel Guerra 1532 and Suzy Dias 1. Anywhere else we should be directing people?
No, that's good. They can find everything's on our website too. We're old school, so you can always find everything on 7robots.com and everything you mentioned.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for being back. This has been so much fun to catch up again. And let's not wait 8 years to do it again. Let's make this more regular if you're up for it.
We're at your disposal.
Yes, just send us the word.
But not disposable.
What was that? I missed the last part.
Not disposable.
Yes. I'm at your disposable. Yeah, I didn't take it as that. I got you. But yeah, we need to do this again, and I'm pretty sure Jack's going to regret missing this episode, especially when you brought up Escape from L.A.
I love that movie.
That's actually one of his favorites. What's that?
Yeah.
I like the first one more, Escape from New York.
Yeah.
And when you live in
he's
New York-
going to be kicking himself in the ass, which good, because he should have been here. So, but anyway, guys, thanks so much again for being here. And Randy, can you tell the people where they can find us?
Go to cannedairpodcast.com, see our Hall of Heroes, see past guests, check out some of our old episodes, and however you want to connect with us, we have all the links on everything you'd want to find at cannedairpodcast.com.
Yes, he is right. All those links are at cannedairpodcast.com, or you can see them just above me here. We're on X at CannedAirPod, on Instagram at canned_air, and on TikTok at CannedAirPodcast. And if you want to support the show, head over to CannedAirPodcast.com. There's a link that takes you to our Patreon page, where $5 a month gets you access to a 4-year plus catalog, people. It is a big catalog, well worth $5, at least in my opinion. And then there's also a merch tab. Get you t-shirts, hats, hoodies, stickers, coffee mugs, all that kind of stuff with our logo on it. And if you don't have the money to support us, leave us a like, hit subscribe, review, comment, any of that stuff. It helps so much. And what else? Evergreen Podcast Network, the network we've been on again for about, Randy, 3 years, 4 years, something like that now?
I think it's coming up on 4, maybe even 5. So it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, lots of cool shows on there. But like we were prefacing earlier in our conversation, check out Canned Air first. Canned Air's the best one on there, I think, of all the thousands of shows.
Little biased.
Stands to reason, right? What do I know? Anyway, but I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. So until next time, I'm Jeremy Colley.
I'm Randy Hardenbrook.
I'm Miguel Guerra.
And I'm Suzy Dias.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and be excellent to each other.